So welcome to the Issaquah School District kindergarten families who will have children in the kindergarten, in our kindergartens next year, 2023, 2024. We welcome you to our school district. The Issaquah School District is very much changing. Our numbers and demographics is changing tremendously. This is my 23rd year working in the school district. And in my 20-some years, I have noticed great changes in our district in the sense that when I first started working in Issaquah, about 85% of our families identified as white, and we only had about 10% families identified as Asians. If you can believe it, my first year in my school, Issaquah Middle School, I taught science there for 15 years. I was literally the only Indian for several years. And finally, after several years, we had an Indian student join our school, and it was so exciting to see another Indian in my school. And now you will notice that we have many, many Indians, many Chinese, Korean, Japanese, many families from different countries, from Eastern Europe, Western Europe, Africa, Asia, Central America, North America, friends from Canada, and other areas in Asia and the Middle East. So our district is very diverse. We have over 82 some languages that are used by our families in our district. And we are seeing our district continuously changing. It is changing and becoming more culturally and linguistically diverse. Susie, were you going to say something?
Yes, will you share your screen?
Yes. So as we are seeing our district get more diverse, the board recognized that we need to take steps to make sure our families were better able to understand our schools and navigate the schools. We had many families coming into kindergarten who didn't really understand what happens in a kindergarten in the United States, because it is very different than schools in many other countries. I myself, because I went to elementary school in India, grades K through 5, 6 actually, but I started school here in 7th grade. And so when my daughter started kindergarten, I remembered how different it was. It's even very, very different than middle school. And so I always said I would love to be a fly in the wall to really understand what was going on in the school, because my daughter would come home and say things to me that I didn't quite understand what was going on, because that was not what life was like in middle schools or life was like in my school when I was in India. So this is really to help families better understand what's going on in their child's day, to understand what the expectations are, and to best prepare themselves and their child as their child starts kindergarten. In our district, one of the things I want you to know, along with me, we have 3 different family liaisons. And the job of the liaisons is to help families and answer questions, help them better navigate the school system. While I work at the district administration office, the liaisons work at each of the schools. So they're on the ground support systems for you. So even now, before school starts, you're welcome to contact any of the liaisons and ask some questions, especially if there's some more questions you have that I did not answer or did not get to through the course of the presentation. And for sure, in September, October, and so forth, keep them in mind. Today, when I'm going over some information, some of it you're probably going to be like, oh, this is so much information. How am I going to remember it all? Don't worry. You're not expected to remember it all. It's to give you a preview and know that you'll have access to the slide deck and even this recording. And also the big thing I want you to leave this presentation knowing is you have supports. We know that many of the families feel lost and have a lot of questions. And one of the things I wanted you to know, starting right now, is there are a lot of staff at the school who can help you answer a lot of your questions. So this is one of the resource pages that we have in our school district. So this is the school district's main website, which many of you probably are familiar with because you're registered for my event, probably using the site, or maybe you've already been reading through to learn more about it, about the school district. One of the most important things on here is knowing that any of you can change to any of the top languages spoken in the school by using this Google Translate button. Also, I love this search engine button to look up information regarding the school, such as a highly capable program, registration, new student enrollment. Some of the most important links are listed over here. The other thing is what I just shared with you regarding the Cultural and Family Partnership Program. That is my our website, the Equity and Family Partnership website, and it lives under Programs and Services over here. And what you will see is our events are posted here. I'm going to talk about an event that you can register for in August. You'll find that there. So the contacts, if you have questions after this event, family liaisons are listed over here. And also I post a lot of resources for families in the resource section over here. So for families new to the school system, this is a good resource to have and to look at. Also, you'll find a lot of information regarding elementary school programs over here, including some information about dual language early entrance that I'll show you the slides for. On this page, you'll also get more information on transportation, which is buses and lunches, which is, we'll talk about that, but mainly we'll talk about it a lot more in the August presentation that I do. And finally, one of the biggest questions families have regarding the US school system is what exactly is taught? Because the schools, kindergarten, your students will not have books. We don't have textbooks in elementary schools. So you can use this website right here, the kindergarten website, just to get an overview as to what curriculum your child will be going through and what the teachers will be doing with your child. So the motor skills, reading, writing, math, science, look at all the tabs to see what they'll be doing. And then you'll also see what they're learning, the curriculum in kindergarten, first, second through fifth grade. And then you can also do it for middle school and high school. So a lot of you ask questions on curriculum and pathway, and I would recommend you use this site to get some more information because there are no books. So we use the Common Core Science pathway for math. And so a lot of this is taught using some Eureka Math work. And then the students also have some apps they use and take tests using a program called iReady. But a lot of information about the curriculum is listed on the website. So the website, the feedback we've got from parents is there's a lot of information. But what I will say is while it is a lot of information, it's a lot of good information. You just need to know how to navigate the website. So let me know if you need any help. So the kindergarten registration. Some of you may have already registered and some of you may not have registered, but the kindergarten registration is open still. You can register for the school for kindergarten anytime throughout the course of the year, including into August. So really any family living in the Issaquah area within the Issaquah School District boundaries can register for kindergarten, okay? And this is a public school. So all students who are 5 years old by August 31st, 2023. Again, all students who are at least 5 years old, by August 31st, 2023 are eligible to enroll and start school in an Issaquah School District school. And so this is the information if you've not already done it. And if you need any help, please let us know. If you need any help filling out any forms, we are able to help you with that. One of the other questions I'm always asked is, well, my child will be 5.5. Or the question I'm also asked sometimes is, well, my child will turn 5 in August. Does she have to, or does he have to start school in September? And the answer is no. You can choose to hold your child and have your child start the following year. That often is a common practice for what we call summer babies. So children born in June, July, and August, to make sure that they are developmentally ready to start school. Some families hold them for an additional year, and then they start school in the following school year. So there's no shame or embarrassment to waiting a year. Sometimes for some students, boys, for example, it's an advantage because they are larger build and they're sometimes better for sports and ready for sports. Same for girls. And for boys, sometimes developmentally, they are also sometimes less squirrely in middle and elementary school. So they're better able to focus and learn. So very often sometimes they might do better rather than if they were on the younger end of the spectrum and not developmentally ready to start school. So the enrollment page is on the website, and nearly all of the enrollment is online. And once you've submitted your enrollment application, the school registrar, and the registrar is an employee that works in the school office who takes care of all the enrollment of students coming in and out, placement in classes and so forth, will email you with more information. And the documents, all the documents online are fillable online. But if there's any document that you don't want to fill online and fill on paper, you also have that option. And once it has been approved of, meaning all of the forms that you need have been submitted, then once it has been approved, you'll get an automated email from the district with confirmation. And throughout this whole process, remember that a family partnership liaison can help you fill out any forms that you need. So please contact us, contact the school or the office if you need help with anything. The other thing to note is if you do register between now and June, in August, there is a process called EVP. And this EVP is enrollment verification process. It's because some people move over the summer. Some people, maybe the medical records change or the telephone number needs to be updated or their guardian, the emergency contacts might need to be updated. Also in the summer, during this EVP, the school will ask your child or you to fill out many other forms, including some computer usage, appropriate use of the computers form, some field trip forms maybe, and other forms that you might need to fill out. So during this catch-all form filling time in August, you will need to fill out a whole bunch of forms, and that happens between August 8th and August 15th, and you'll see those dates in a later slide too. I just wanted to let you know about the enrollment process. The next one is homeschool. Very often when families come in, they want to know which school they can attend. And the answer is the school you attend is very much fixed. It is dependent on your address. So as long as you live within the school boundary, you are eligible to go to that school. And that is what public school is in the United States. The thing is though, you have to go to that school. That is your home school. Now this map, as you can tell, kind of hard to read. Some of you might easily identify your home within this map. Some of you might say, not quite sure. In which case, there's a link over here with the email address to the transportation department, the website to the transportation department. So I'd encourage you to visit that website so you can find out what school, what is your home school, and that's called your home school. The transportation department can help. Excuse me. So the schools all follow a feeder pattern. So once your child is in elementary school, once they're done with elementary school, kindergarten through 5th grade, then they'll be moving on to middle school. And what middle school will they move on to? Well, that information is already determined again by your address. So your address determines what elementary school, middle school, and high school your child will attend. And they're all within the Issaquah School District. So it's a very seamless move from one grade level to the next grade level. The schools will help you with the transition process. I also have information nights like this to help with the transition process. But looking at this, you'll see what school your child will attend in middle school and then in high school. If you move schools, even if you move in May, okay, even if you move in April or May of your child's 5th grade year, the expectation is you will have to move to your new school area. You can apply for a waiver and to extend, but that is basically applying to, it's a process called open enrollment that happens at a certain time. You can have a conversation with your principal, but in general, the school is very strict about that, and they don't allow families to attend different schools within, beyond, outside their boundary. So if you move, know that you're going to have to move schools also. Very often parents are very surprised and shocked with that. They want to stay with their school, and that can cause some frustration later on. So just note, that's one of the big reasons why many families will wait and move their homes in late June till August, so they can not change the schooling for their child during the school year. The 2023-2024 calendar year is already set. So for those of you who are interested in finding out what the calendar year looks like, you can go to the school district webpage and you can look up in the home section for calendars, and you will see the calendars. And something my husband loves, because I have two children also in the district, in elementary school and one in high school. Not only is the 2003-2004 calendar available, but also the 25 and 25-26 available. So this is an amazing resource, because for those of you who like to plan your vacations or trips or anything in advance, this is a great way to do that by looking at this calendar. We also have a general district calendar on the website, which is really helpful. You can look for end of grading periods, half days, other important dates on the calendar. And that's for the district level. For you as parents, for next year, what can you expect? So here's the general kindergarten timeline. Your first year of school is different than the first to 12th graders. The child's first year of school is a Friday, September 1st, and it's literally the weekend before Labor Day. So in the US, there's a common belief that school doesn't start till after Labor Day, but in Issaquah and many other schools nowadays, school starts before Labor Day, and your child's first year of school will be September 1st. Those 3 days before the first day of school, your child's school will contact you, and they will have something known as a family connections meeting. And that meeting is a private one-on-one meeting for about 15 to 30 minutes. And it really helps your classroom teacher better know you, the parent, and your child. It's a great opportunity to really meet the teacher, check out the classroom the child's going to be at the school. For me, I know both my teachers also showed my daughter where they should line up when school starts, and kind of the process of how to come in and so forth. So it's a great day for your child and you to go in and have this one-on-one meeting and time with the teacher. In addition, there's another meet the teacher date, and that is on August 28th. So that's a Monday. So it's Monday, connections meetings are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and the first day of school on Friday. So it's a full week for the kindergarten teacher. So your child might not be in school the whole time, but the teacher is busy meeting with all the parents during that week. Now, this meet the teacher on the Monday is an amazing day, a little bit overwhelming sometimes, because all the kids, usually they break it down kindergarten to second grade, and then at one time, third through fifth grade another time, or they may break it down by everyone with the last name A through L at this time, M through Z at a different time. But it's a time that and they do that for parking reasons. Parking lots usually don't hold all the families, but it's a time to go to school and visit the classroom. But the difference between this and family connections is you'll also see a whole bunch of other kids in that class. So it's a good time to see your child, to meet their peers, because a one-on-one meeting, you won't see other classmates. This one you will. It's an opportunity to drop off school supplies, the child's test, opportunity to see other students in the class, and before the school begins. And very often during that time, the PTSA has a popsicle or kids play on the playground. So it's a good time to meet up other parents again and play with other kids. Excuse me, my throat is very dry. So in the Issaquah School District, kindergartners have a choice. They can either go to school for a full day or they could go for a half day. The full day is, again, full day or half day. They're both at no cost. And just FYI, this is different. When my oldest daughter first started 9 years ago, we had to pay if we wanted our child to attend full day. So now it's free. It's a state funding. Students in the kindergarten follow the same bell times as the rest of the students. And you can find that information on the website. So if you go to your child's school, all the websites are designed exactly the same. Our school, you will see that they have the bell schedules. So right now, it might change a little bit over the summer. You can wait and see. But right now, you can already see the bell times. And notice, on Wednesday, school is done early. Very often, this is a big news to many families. So just make sure you remember next year, especially that first few weeks, that on Wednesday, and keep track of when's a Wednesday, your child will be coming home early. And if your child takes the bus, to be sure to be at the bus stop on time. So that information is posted over here. Then all schools have this information posted for our students, and their websites all look the same. Kindergarten students also ride the bus with other students in grades 1 through 5. The kindergarten students are usually given seats in the front of the bus, closest to the bus driver, so they can be more supervised. The kindergarten student will have the same teacher throughout the day, so that meeting with the family connections is critical. They will, however, have 3 different other teachers once a day for one period during each of those days. And those teachers are called specialists. Those specialist teachers teach PE, music, and library. We'll talk more about that at the end. If your child qualifies for special education services or ELL services, your child will also have additional support from additional teacher in the classroom. And the additional teacher in the class or student, they work outside the classroom in small groups. For the half day now, your student only attends for 3 hours in the morning. And so they will leave right around lunchtime. There's a specific time. And while the student can take the bus to school, the parent will have to pick them up at that half day mark, the end of the 3-hour window, because there's only transportation in the morning. But for those families who don't think that their child is ready for a full day of school service, that is an option. And you can check with the teacher to see what kind of learning they would be missing in the afternoon and what that afternoon schedule looks like. But they don't really make a choice of one day you're going to stay in school all day and another day you're going to leave half day. You kind of have to commit. You have to commit to half day or full day. I have known families who started as half days and then changed their mind and realized their child could attend all day. They had the stamina and then changed it to full day attendance during the course of the school year. Early entrance. Very often families have questions on early entrance. They want their child to enter school before they're 5. So what does that mean and what does that look like? So if your child is not 5 by August 31st, if they're going to be 5 by November 30th, your child can apply for early entrance. And they have to meet standards in those following 7 categories mentioned right here. The parent may choose to delay having their child start kindergarten, as I said earlier, or they can apply for this early entrance. The early entrance is mainly for the students who have done that. The ISD can accept a child into first grade who's younger than 6 years old if they've completed those two criteria. In general, if you're interested in the early entrance program, you should contact Bethany Rogers at that number. She is the administration assistant for the executive director of elementary education. But we do have that option in ISD. Dual language program is another option. It's at the Issaquah Valley School. So of our 16 schools, Issaquah Valley holds the dual language program. And there's a link here for the process of registration. If your child is a native Spanish speaker, we highly encourage you to apply. For other students, it is on a lottery base. So all of the families, the lottery is already expired. So the due date to submitting that was March 10th. And so if you have not applied for it, unfortunately, there's most likely not space in there if you're not a native language speaker. But we do have that program. So some of you might already be enrolled or applied for login for that program. We also have a highly capable program. And the Issaquah School District tests every single student in kindergarten. Also, we test every single child again in second grade for the highly capable program. What we do is called a universal screener, and the universal screener means we test all kids. The specific testing date is usually sometime in November, but it might change. It had changed this year, so I don't want to say specifically. But you can check the website, the highly capable website, for more information. In addition, your school will be sending out information once your child starts kindergarten with that information as to when they will be taking the assessment for the highly capable program. So again, under programs, you can go to highly capable and you will see the information I'm sharing with you, and you can look at the kindergarten timeline and information for this year, and note next year will be different, but you can come back here next year to read the information of the highly capable program. And what the highly capable program looks like in kindergarten is that we have what's called a primary enrichment program in the kindergarten, where we have someone known as a SAGE teacher. I'm not going to go with the acronym right now, or the primary enrichment program teacher, who usually will pull the kids out and do special activities with them for about 30 minutes a day in kindergarten, 30 minutes one time a week in kindergarten. And when they're older, first and second grade, the SAGE teacher will pull them out for for an hour in first and second grade, and they will do different activities as part of the enrichment program. We also have an MLL program or ELL program, English as a Second Language, or also known as multilingual learner. And so just like in the SAGE program, we have a specialized teacher, ELL certified teacher, who will work with that child in small groups or individually, either push in. The teacher goes and sits with the students in their own classroom and helps them. So it's basically an additional teacher in the class, targeting and working with specific students who might need additional help. Or the teacher might, ELL teacher might pull out a small group of students and work with them outside the classroom based on their needs. The students all take something known as a WIDA screener. It's a test, a proficiency test, to see if they need to be in the program, what their level is. And as their reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills in English improve, they can get exited out of the program. So it's mainly to get kids who are coming into the program who are not proficient in English to be more proficient in English. And as their proficiency in English improves, we test them to see what their level is, and then we exit them out of the program. So the next one we want to talk that many parents were asking about is kindergarten preparedness. What do I need to do to make sure my child is prepared for kindergarten. So one of the things is, honestly, nothing. We take all students and we will teach all students and working with them. Now, all students come to us at different levels. And so some of you who already have registered, your child might already have taken a placement test, it's called. And that placement test in March was designed to see what classroom the child should be assigned. Because in the Issaquah School District, we don't group kids based on ability, meaning all of the high level kids in one room, all the ELL kids in another class, all special ed in another class. That's not what we do. So we, using the assessments, using the data about ELL, about special education, the placement tests, we group some of the highest kids with some of the different level kids, with some ELL kids and special ed students. So each teacher has a balanced classroom, and it's not that one teacher has more gifted or less gifted kids than another teacher. So it's all about balancing the classroom. In addition, there's another assessment the students will take in September, and that assessment is primarily for the teacher to know what their level is in going in, because you will find out that in the Issaquah School District, in elementary schools, throughout the day, students will then be grouped together, and they will work in small groups with the teacher. The teacher will sit with the different small groups and work with a specific activity with them while the other kids are doing different activities. So this way, for a certain period each day, certain period of time each day, the students can get individualized help at the level that they and their peers are. So the group will change. Maybe for 2 weeks, the grouping is based on their geometry level and understanding. So the teacher can help those kids that have the highest needs, pull them up all together the same lesson. Kids that have a different need or a different level, she'll help them at a different, with different activities. So this way, she's really addressing what kids know and don't know to pull them up from where they are at, rather than teaching the same thing to everyone. And so some kids might not get it because they didn't understand how to get there to baseline, or some kids might be bored because they already know it. So this way she's able to teach based on where each group is at. Other things you can do to help, and this is critical. So before the child starts in September, things that I would highly recommend that you make sure your child knows how to do is make sure your child can go to the bathroom by themselves, unbutton their pants, pull their pants up, down, button their pants up. So for girls, lift up their dresses, skirts, things like that, and then wash their hands, dry their hands, and comes back out. Can they put on their backpack? Can they put on their coat? Can they put on their shoes? Because for PE, they might need to remove their shoes. Can they tie their shoelaces? Can they eat independently? So I would definitely have them eat by themselves in June, July, August, kind of separate from you. Give them a boxed lunch, see if they eat, or give them a plate or a tray and encourage them to focus on eating for 20 minutes so that when you're not in the room with them, they're eating on themselves. Because sometimes when school starts in the cafeteria, the kids have their lunch tray, and they put a piece of food in their mouth and they're distracted. And then the parents sometimes get very frustrated because they go home with their lunch still not eaten. So encourage students to keep focused on eating and finishing up their meal in a certain amount of time. Also, remember to help teach them how to open Ziploc bags, how to open thermoses. It's amazing in the lunchroom how many times kids don't know how to access their food their parents have packed because they've never had practice in it. Someone has always been there to help them. We do have someone you'll see, they're called paraeducators, help kids. It's just that there are a lot of kids, and so sometimes it could take a little bit longer if your child cannot be more independent. Teach your child their full name. So help them be able to respond. What's your name? have them be able to respond, because that really helps, especially as you're trying to help them on the bus and so forth. And so use everyday situations to take turns and to practice taking turns, sharing and following routines. These are very basic skills that are the most important, because independence is one of the big skills kids really need to know how to, these ones that we mentioned, as they start elementary school. Teachers and the parents are amazing, and they are very much ready and geared to teaching all the other skills. There's a document called Kindergarten Readiness that I will share also with you when I send you this PowerPoint, if you complete the feedback form. That gives you some top things on what other skills they should have, such as early literacy, that they can write the letters of their first name. They know at least some letters, enjoy stories, and know how to turn pages. Some mathematical thinking readiness skills that you and your child can work on between now and August, and some other skills over here. So this is a good guide, and it's also on the district website if you want to access it, to kind of just help you figure out what you need to do, or what can you do between now and September 1st to get your child ready for kindergarten. So it's a great resource. If you can, I'd encourage you to print out the document when I send it, something to post on the refrigerator or something, and see. Or if your child can do this all, wonderful. Work on social and emotional skills, independent and health skills, communication, reading skills are other ones they can work on. Now, what happens if your child has a learning disability, a physical disability, if they have asthma, diabetes, vision impairment, or hearing impairment? Well, all students can attend school. The only thing the school needs is to know how they can help and partner with you in helping your child. There is something called a Section 504, and it is to support students who have a disability such as a physical or mental impairment, which substantially limits major life activity, including school, of course. 504 would also work for someone who has asthma and diabetes, or has vision or hearing. And it's important to share that information with the school so they can make sure that they have supports and accommodations, okay? So accommodations are needed for you to make sure your child can go through the school day and be healthy and safe. If your child already has a 504 plan from their preschool or their ECE or ECAP, that plan will automatically follow them to the elementary school, and the school counselor will contact you and work with you, and that will be your school, your case manager, the 504 case manager. If your child has a plan for health, such as if they're diabetic and they need to have their blood sugar monitored, or if they have something else going on health-wise, make sure you communicate with the school nurse. There's a school nurse on campus. We'll talk more about that. In addition, we have something called an IEP. An IEP is an individualized education plan. And again, if your child already has one, if they went to ECE, the IEP will follow them, automatically follow them to the new school. If they're coming even from a different state, of a different area, and they had an IEP, that comes with them to kindergarten, and there is a different person, a teacher, special education teacher. They have different credentials than general education teachers, and they're designed, those teachers are qualified to work specifically with students who have learning disabilities or learning needs, and that there will be a case manager also assigned to you, and that case manager will help you better understand and create accommodations and modifications to support you, your child at school. They're your partner in your child's development. So please note that if your child has any kind of needs, please work with the school, and the school will partner with you to make sure that we are helping your child be successful. So as I mentioned, the school counselor is the 504 case manager, every school in the Issaquah School District has a school counselor, and I have linked on my site the page for the school counselor. So if you look at your elementary school, you'll be able to find the names and the email and name number for all of your counselors. This is a link for the email, and there's your telephone number. So using a counselor in the school, very often parents don't understand what a counselor is and how to utilize the counselor at the school. Because I know, for example, in India, we didn't have school counselors in the school. In some other countries, they have someone like a homeroom teacher who acts as kind of someone who's overseeing the child or the child's development, or a classroom teacher. Over here, a school counselor is slightly different. They work and do something called social emotional learning with the students. They sometimes will work with students in small groups to help them, especially during lunch, or they might pull your child to your classroom, to their office, if your child needs to have any conversations, because of, how are they working with peers? How are they solving problems? Are they having fights on the playground? Sometimes children might be experiencing problems at home with divorce or something else, or maybe they're sad for some reason. But a school counselor in elementary school would be a good person to contact and talk about some concerns you have regarding the emotional and social emotional learning of your child. They address different development tasks, crises, peer conflicts, ill health, dysfunctional home environments. School counselor would be a great person to make sure you check in along with the classroom teacher. Let's say if you had a death in the family or something different going on, just because the child might be behaving differently at school, and the school counselor can do a check-in with your child. And that's the same school counselor from kindergarten to fifth grade. So it's someone that's consistent at the school for you and your child throughout the 6 years in elementary school. One of the biggest things for me in attending American schools, I missed elementary school, so I don't think I learned these things, but I know I did. And so watching my children with it was very interesting, because in elementary school in the US, they definitely teach what we call the soft skills, or the behavior, the expectancy of how to behave in this culture. Walking feet, how do we are making sure we're walking to the place, how we're taking turns, what is a space bubble. There's a big thing about how much personal space you have, and your personal space is your space bubble, and you need to keep your hands and feet to yourself, not stand too close to someone and invade their space bubble. What's your voice level? What's your voice level when you're at a table, when you're outside, when you're on the playground? And the schools teach kids that, so that the kids know how to modulate their voices in different environments. One of the surprises for a lot of families is that at the playground, there is no touching or rough play. So very often, kids might be used to kind of tackling with each other, and especially sometimes young boys can be a lot more physical. And that is highly discouraged in elementary school. So there's really no tackling, no touching. So we want to make sure that people's space bubbles are not being invaded. And even for girls, sometimes it can be hard, because maybe some girls or boys, don't want to be sexist here, they might be a little bit more hands-on, as in huggy, or girls might be a lot more physical with tackling too. And those things are not acceptable, especially during play. So at play, they might have tag, which is just like touching rather than holding. They have different games where there's less physical contact with other kids. Also, things they teach is cleaning up after an activity. And so those are some of the softer skills taught in elementary school as an everyday behavior. And the good thing is schools teach all about these behavior expectation and review it with the students. Sometimes parents might not be familiar with them, but it's important that you learn what they are. So when you'll have several opportunities to visit the school, definitely look around the school and look at their posters. And you will see what is being taught of the students on how they should be behaving as they're walking around the school, as they're walking from class to class, and when they're in the playground, in the lunchroom, in the different environments they're at. So as I said, a school nurse is available at the schools, and each building has a school nurse. The school health room specialist, so there's a school nurse and a health room specialist at each building. And this person is not a school nurse, but a paraeducator. All schools have a health room. So for example, earlier this week, my daughter came home because when she was on the playground, she fell off some bars and she hit her head. And so they did the concussion protocol with her, and then my husband had to go and pick her up so that we can keep her under observation. The thing is, on the playground, sometimes accidents happen and kids get hurt, or maybe they get sick at school, they are throwing up or whatever. In whatever case, a student, when they are hurt, injured, not feeling well, stomachache, all of that, they're sent to some place called the health room, and the health room specialist will then call you and inform you about what is going on. And then depending on the incident, for example, for us, we had to go to the school immediately and take her home. If your child was ill, throwing up, had a fever, again, you would be required to go to school immediately and take them home. If your child was coming up complaining of a stomachache, it is up to you to determine if you think it's critical that you should pick them home, or you want your child to kind of power through it. Because I will also admit, and some of you might have done that, I know my niece did it. Sometimes she was sick because she didn't want to be at school in her classroom. So you have sometimes kids who are avoiding class, or trying to, not go to PE or not go to library or whatever, and that might happen. So it's important for you to decide what do you want to do, but there are certain conditions where the school will say you have to take your child home. In other conditions, in other times, they might just call you to inform you, and then you can decide what you want to do in that instance, based on how you know your child and how you want to, handle that situation. But the school health room specialist, just a reminder, they're a paraeducator. If you've already been to any of the school's events, you already have gotten a lot of the immunization information for it. This is a lot of information, and honestly, this is mainly, I'm going to be not reading all of it because it's a lot of details. So you probably don't even know all of the information right off the top of your head. But what you should know is that all incoming students need to have a medically verified immunization record before the first day of school. And what medically verified means is that it has to be signed by a doctor. So if they have the CIS, there's a space for the doctor to sign this. If you are coming from a different country, let's say you just moved from India, China, Japan, or Hong Kong, or Canada, or England, or wherever you're coming from, and your child got all their shots in another country, it is important that you either have your immigration papers that has all your immunization details on it, or you get a medically verified document from the doctor's office from your home country with this information. And if you can't, or if they cannot verify it, what the district will require you do is have your child do a blood test. And that blood test, they can then run titers on there to see if they've had their MMR, DTaP, varicella, all of these other ones, if they've had their shots. And if you're not able to do that, or unable to provide verified proof that your child has completed the immunization, you might have to go through and get them immunized. So if they don't have it, or they're not complete with all of it by August 31st, I would strongly recommend that you start working on it, because they are required to have it. They may register for school, as it says here, but they may not attend school until the provider verified immunization has been received. So if it's not done by the first day of school, you're going to have a conversation with the nurse to show what you're doing to get that done. Otherwise, if you're not able to do that, it's a conversation definitely with the school nurse. But that is one of the biggest requirements for school, okay, besides living in the attendance boundary. So as I said, they have specialist teachers who are really the teachers for the music class, the PE class of the library. They are certified teachers, certificated teachers. Your child will have 2 days a week in PE, 2 days a week they'll have music, and 1 day a week they will go to the library. The librarian will teach them how to use the books, to find books, what section of the library has books that are maybe of interest to them, and they will check out books. And they will come home at least once a week with a stack of books from the school library. She'll teach them how to take good care of them, and next week they might return some or check more out. They have limits, and some schools have limits, but there's a weekly schedule. On PE days, I would definitely recommend that you post it at least for the first couple of days. Because on PE days, you want to make sure that your child is wearing tennis shoes or some kind of shoe that is appropriate for running. You don't want them to wear like rain boots or some kind of boots where it's really not appropriate for them to be doing PE, or some kind of a sandal shoe where it's going to be difficult for them to walk or to run in PE or do work in PE. So keep in mind, on PE days, we definitely I remind my daughter to make sure she's wearing appropriate shoes for PE. Music day, no worries. So, but that's what their schedule looks like. Now, a lot of people are also asking about art. Where does art fall in this? Well, teachers might do art activities in the class, or very often there's a group called PTSA, and the PTSA usually has art docents or art leaders in the building who organize art activities for different grade levels, and then different classrooms will come in and do an art activity together. So for example, a couple of weeks ago, I volunteered for them to do an art activity on a map. A couple of weeks ago, they also did an activity. My daughter did clay for, I think, right around Valentine's Day. She made little dinosaurs or something, but a clay stuff. So they have different activities, and not as regularly as some parents might want, such as once a week, but it depends on the teacher, depends on the PTSA art docent program at the school. But music, library, and PE are definitely every week. So along with the health room specialist, who's a paraeducator, you will notice that in the lunchroom, the students have a paraeducator supervising them as they eat. Now, this was at one of the heights of COVID, where the kids were making sure they were 6 feet apart, socially distancing. Now, of course, they sit a little bit closer together, not wearing masks, of course. But this is what a lunchroom looks like, and there are paraeducators walking around the lunchroom, monitoring the children, and also they help them with opening their thermos, unzipping this for like a bag that got stuck, or giving them a fork or a spoon if they need it. But you can see their lunch trays there too. But they have paraeducators in the lunchroom, on the playground, in the health room, supporting the nurse there. But also in kindergarten, your kindergarten child's teacher will also have a paraeducator assigned to her class, helping her in that room. So not all the time, not all 5 days a week, the whole class day, but they will be in there for at least a couple hours each day. This is what a typical elementary school library looks like. Lots and lots of books. Students have access to check out the books. Sometimes librarians have limits of how many books they can check out. Some librarians don't, but the librarians teach them library skills, such as carrying the book, how to check them out. The library will also give the kids a digital library card to King County. And I know starting in 6th or 7th grade, my daughter in middle school started checking out audiobooks from the King County Library using her account. And my younger daughter in 5th grade is just learning how to do that too. School book fairs. So schools very often host a book fair to help families see current books that are available. Book fairs One of the benefits for me with book fairs, whether you buy the book or not, is I just like to look at the level of the books. Just because in elementary school, you want to make sure you're buying books that are age appropriate and leveled to your child's reading level. And at the book fair, the Scholastic, the company we use to buy the books for the book fair, they usually say what grade level or what reading level is that it's at. So then you can say, okay, no, child, this book is a little bit too high level for you or too low level. Not that they can try, but you also want to make sure how frustrated they are so that you're kind of there to help them if they're too frustrated with the reading level. But the book fair is also a fundraiser for the school. It helps provide school libraries with a lot of books and the classroom teachers' libraries, with classroom teachers have lots of books in their classroom and kids can borrow books there too. The US, if you've not noticed, is a huge book culture. Reading is highly emphasized, especially in elementary school. One of the main assignments the kids will have every day is reading. So this is one of the things why books are critical, accessing books and getting these books in the library, in the classroom, or using the reading apps that the school will show you and give you the password to for when your kid is in kindergarten. And flyers will be sent home with more information about this. Here's a space for the elementary school gym. The kids go there twice a week. It's a nice large space. The kids sit and learn. Usually I think there's a screen right there. They'll sit there as the teacher's giving them instruction, and then she might divide them in small groups. They're learning teamwork. They're learning simple sport activities. And so they do sports here. They also do, assessments on what they're learning, physical activity level is at. They're called pacers. So, music, in 4th or 5th grade, depending on your school, they might use something called a recorder. Some of the other schools might have different instruments. This is the Clark Elementary School. So it's a nice room where the kids will go in twice a week and work on music skills. Sometimes the teachers also teach them certain songs. And this will be the first year since COVID that we're going back to it. But they'll put up concerts. And I love the little concerts where all the kids sing. It's literally the entire kindergarten group will all stand on the stage in different sections, and all the kids will sing. Sometimes they'll say a little line of poetry. It's adorable, and you'll just enjoy it so much watching the whole kindergarten class at a performance at the school, and usually happens once or twice a year. The playground, each school has an amazing playground. Students usually have 2 recesses per day and a lunch per day. On Wednesday, many of the schools only have 1 recess because it's a shortened day. In kindergarten, however, the afternoons, they also give them extra time for something called purposeful play. And so in kindergarten, students also have extra time to play in the afternoons as part of the Washington Kids requirement, or part of the money coming to us for kids to go to kindergarten is to make sure that they're doing enough play, purposeful play every day. And here's the schedule for Cascade Ridge, and this is from a couple of years ago, but you can see it you're going to see this where you have where the bell rings, where the kids are allowed to enter the school, and it's only usually 5 minutes before school starts. Then the time the school starts, then it shows you what the different recesses are, then what time the lunches are for the different groups, and then the dismissal time. So this is a general schedule for the school. And then in addition, your child's schedule would be impacted by when they have their specialist time, which is their which is their music, PE, or library time that day. And that period where your child has their specialist teacher, it is actually built in to also give the classroom teacher a break, because otherwise the classroom teacher would be with the students so long. So lunch, recess, and specialist time are the lunch for the classroom teacher, and then the 2 or 3 short breaks and planning periods for the classroom teacher. And that's part of the elementary, middle, and high school teachers' contracts to have that time for them to do work or just get a break such as lunch. Here's another photo of the lunchroom. If they're buying a lunch, they're going to get their lunch on a tray, and they're usually going to have 2 or 3 options. There's usually a non-vegetarian option, meatless option as they call it, and a meat option. We also have allergy tables if any of the students are allergic to certain items and you want to make sure you can work with the school and the classroom teacher as to which table they sit at. For lunch, your child is going to sit with their classroom. So you will have noticed in one of the earlier photos I had, they had a picture of names over here. So this table has O'Brien's classroom. This table would have another teacher's classroom. So the different sections in the cafeteria, the students are seated by their classroom. So it's not willy-nilly anywhere you want. It's by your class. And also teachers give seating assignments for the table just to make sure that the kids are seated with their friends, or just to keep things a little bit more in order in the lunchroom. And they can get the chocolate milk or regular milk that's available for them to buy. Also, remember, in elementary school, you are able to apply for something called free and reduced lunch. If your child, or if your family is financial need and needs support to ensure that your child has a meal, you can apply for that. It's completely anonymous. Once you're approved, all they do is give the lunch lady, every kid is assigned a lunch number. If they have free or reduced lunch or not, they give the lunch lady their number and the lunch lady keys it in. If they have free lunch, it's just billed to the federal government. It's a reduced lunch, then you will just pay whatever the reduced lunch fee is. And if you do not qualify for free and reduced lunch, you're buying lunch, just make sure you have some money in your child's lunch account. And I'm going to go more into detail about lunch accounts and all of that when we start next year. When I'm going to do an event next August as things are closer with more details. But just know, if you go to this website on lunch, you can learn a lot of information about school lunches and what their lunch menu would look like, the prices of meals. So you can kind of decide, is this something that you want your child to be buying school lunches and so forth. By 4th grade, my child was able to find this on the computer on her own. And then in the morning, she'd say, it's going to be chicken, blah, blah, blah. I want to eat that lunch, mommy. Can I buy lunch? Yes, sweetie, go ahead and buy lunch. So, I always give her the option of what is that school, because some kids want to buy school lunches, some kids don't. Some parents don't want their kids to eat school lunches. Whatever the case, it depends, honestly. She wanted to buy school lunches because the friends were standing in line for lunch. So, they want to be with their friends. So many things go into play as kids are eating lunch at school. The school does work on having healthy options such as whole grain corn dogs with peas, mandarin oranges. And you can get a lot of information about dietary restrictions on that website. But again, I'll tell you of an event that I'll go more information and give you more information. So leading us to the transportation slide. So as I said, a child who's attending all day, and if they're eligible to ride the bus, they have bus transportation in the morning and after school. Now you ask, how do I know if my child is eligible to ride the bus? Well, again, it's address, based on address. So based on your address, if you live more than a certain distance, I believe it's something like a mile or something more, or 2 miles, or 1 or 2 miles, I can't remember, away from the school. And it's also based on if there are safe walkways for your child to walk to school. Your child may or may not be eligible to ride the school bus. And how would you find out if there is you can go to this link called route information, put your child's name and birth date in it, and then it will be able to give you your child's bus route if you're eligible to ride the school bus. There's also an activity called Ride the Big School Yellow Bus, which is a fun activity. But on the transportation page on the school district, you will find this information, and it's only going to be available to you in August. So you're welcome to come in August, use this information, sign up and get that information about your child's bus route. If you're quite not sure how to do it, I'll have my event in the end of August, and I'll go through this and show you how to find that information for your child on this webpage. Okay, so we'll do a little bit of additional help at that time. Now it's just a general overview. The one thing I will recommend for you is, if you have not done so already, when you fill out this form called a release form for kindergarten, it's basically if your child is going to ride the school bus, they need this form filled out as to who is going to be picking up your child from the bus stop. It's important that you give the name of the individuals who are allowed to pick up your child, because the school bus driver uses the form and looks at the form, and if you're not on that list, they won't let the kid off the bus. So it's important that you have that release form filled out, but people will be picking them up. Maybe it's a grandparent, maybe it's a nanny, maybe it's your next door neighbor. So make sure that name is on. I always recommend that you should also make sure your child, a photo of your child is sent before school starts. On the form, you'll see there's a little box to attach a picture of your child. You can just take a photo using your cell phone and send it when you send in the form, because that information is really helpful. The bus driver has, 30, 40, 50 kids on the bus, and this way they'll be able to identify your child on the bus and make sure they're matching your child with drop off and pickup. So it's really helpful. Once your child has already had their photo taken for photo day, all schools have a photo day early in September. All of those photos that the school takes of the children are shared with the bus driver. So the bus driver has a picture of each of the kids. It's just that in kindergarten, because they've never been in the school system before, the school district doesn't already have a photo started. So when you fill out form asking for a photo, please, I recommend that you do that. Also note for you that there is a camera on the bus for additional safety and security. Also a reminder that if your child is half day, they will have to go home on their own. You need to provide that transportation. Here are just some sample classroom photos. A couple of years ago when I did this event, parents were just asking, what does it look like? What does school look like? So I just wanted to give you out some pictures of what a classroom at school looks like. Here's a kindergarten classroom. You can see the teacher. There's something called a mat time. So the kids will sit in a mat in a specific space. The teachers assign them. The teacher will read. There'll be activities. Sometimes kids will be working in small groups. So here you can see the teacher working with a student, another student working on different activities over there. So this is where they're going to be doing one-on-one support for a child while other kids are doing different activities. Or the teacher might work with some students in one space while the other kids are doing something else in a different space. Or maybe they have a different help teacher or parent doing something with the kids. Their assistant parent educator doing something with the kids. Here's the little library corner. There are some books available, toys in the class, depending on what kind of activities. So they'll be reading, but maybe for purposeful play, they'll be doing some play in the class, especially in kindergarten room. But the school, the teachers also post a visual calendar of what's going on that day. So the kids know what's going on. So they can say, now it's arrival, now you're going to do your reading center. And they move these, the reading center in different activities around. So that the kids come in, they know that, after we arrive, they're going to do reading center. Or maybe after they arrive, they're going to be doing math that day. So the teacher shows them in kindergarten, especially on a visual calendar, what the activity for the day is going to look like. It's quite amazing. All the kids will have a space to put their backpacks and their supplies. You're going to be bringing supplies to school, and you're going to be giving it to the school teacher, or the teacher might ask you to pull out all the supplies that she asked in a bin, so that your child has access to those supplies through the course of the school year. Things like the folder, the take-home folder, she'll take it and then she'll probably put your child's name on it so that she puts the handouts in the folder and sends it home every day. But your child will store all of the supplies in here. Also, you want to make sure that you send your child with a water bottle and also their lunchbox to school every day. They're going to be putting their lunches in, it's not here, but you know how Costco sometimes has those big bins that you use to go to the park and put stuff in, or maybe I use mine in my yard. But kids usually put their lunches in this bin, and then the bin is taken to the lunchroom so the kids can have their lunch there. If they're, especially they're doing recess before and then lunch after. If they do lunch and then recess, they might carry their lunch with them. Then after their lunch, they'll put all their bags in a bin, and one student brings it to the classroom while the other kids go to recess. And then they get their lunch bag and put it back in their backpacks as they go home. But teachers have everything really well organized. Even the tables have the student names on them, so the students know exactly where to sit and what's their space. So right here are the students' names. So all the tables are labeled. Bathroom, lots of directions, information, reminders to wash their hands, how to wash their hands. In kindergarten, they usually recommend to send a change of clothes. So everything is planned in case the child has an accident. But the teacher teaches the procedure, but make sure the child knows how to go to the bathroom, wash their hands and all of that on their own. The teacher will give you more information about the bathroom and also teach the child where the bathroom is. And then teach a child how to ask to go to the bathroom, how to find the bathroom and all of that good stuff. Yes, all of those are done by the teacher between the family connections and the first week of school. There's a lot of education and training the kids on how to go through their day. And the teacher teaches that, so even if the child is hesitant and shy, they at least know where these things are. Here's another big one, and this is the bad news. For those of you who are looking for before after school care, unfortunately at this time, it's a wait list already. So before and after school care, there is a program at the district because it's super affordable and right there on the school campus. It fills up really fast. So if you are interested in this program, I would strongly recommend that you apply for it or you put your name on it, even if you don't end up using it. Honestly, it's not going to hurt if you think you might use it. Now, I applied for before and after school care when my older daughter was going to Sunset in January, and I was number 56. Luckily, I was accepted, or my name came up, not accepted, my name came up. So fill out this list, the form for before and after school care. And what happens is you can drop your child off before school, and when school starts, the before and after school care people will walk your child to the class. Or if your child, my child only went to after school care. After school, one of the people working in the after school program goes to the kindergarten room's teacher's class, picks up the kids and takes them to care. And then you just go to the school after school and pick them up. It's a great program, very affordable. And unfortunately, because it is so great and because it is so affordable, it is full. There's a wait list, but don't despair. Your name could come up depending on the school, especially depending on how early you sign. So we are at the end of our presentation. As I mentioned, the list of things coming up is, if you have not already done so, please register for kindergarten using the links. If you need help, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I don't know if this was too much information or just right information, but if you have any questions, we're here to help you. And that's one of the main things I want you to remember through the course because of this presentation. In August, as I said, there's a EVP, enrollment verification process. So don't forget to fill out those forms and verify your child's attendance. Then there's a fun, crazy opportunity, not crazy, but fun opportunity called Ride the Yellow School Bus. So much fun. If your child has never ridden a school bus, if they're going to or not going to, They have an opportunity to ride the school bus with you. I was talking about the transportation release form with your photo. This is it right here. So please attach or enclose a recent picture of your student. You may only have one face to remember, but our bus drivers have many. So or you can email, honestly, this document with the photo. If you cannot print it out, I do that a lot to transportation, send them photos of our kids if I help the family fill out any of the forms. That event is on August 10th. It's free. Any kid who's going to ride the school bus and not going to ride the school bus is eligible to participate. It's just a fun day. You'll see a whole bunch of other kindergartners from throughout the district riding the bus with their parent. On the 24th, I have an event coming up, and that's called Tips and Resources for Elementary Families New to the US. And in this one, I'm going to talk more about first day school supplies, transportation, how to find your bus route, lunches, paying for lunches, free and reduced lunch reminder, but also how to put money in your lunch account, and other tips, school expectations, communications, reminder about curriculum night and when it's coming, reporting attendance and how to do so. So I'll go over some stuff like this with more in detail and some other new stuff that is more relevant to school starting in a week. So this one is to prepare you for next year because you don't know. That one is about starting school within the next few days. August 28th, it's a Monday, is a meet the teacher. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you probably have your appointment for your family connections. Then Friday, your first day of school. If you've not already done so, please consider signing up for the ISD bulletin. If you've already registered, chances are you're already starting to get them. If you're not registered, you should sign up for the Issaquah School District bulletin, as well as your specific school bulletin. You can also sign up your grandparent or your nanny for these bulletins if they're interested in keeping up with school calendar and getting emails if there's some kind of notification needed. But those people should also be, yes, they can also get bulletins. So multiple people can get bulletins as needed. And then finally, thank you very much for joining us. We ended with a lot of time. Please contact me or one of the family partnership liaisons if you have any questions. Visit the family partnership website and you'll see a copy of this slide deck. And I hope that you fill out this feedback form, because in filling out the feedback form, you will also be able to get this slide deck and this recording. At this time, I am going to stop the recording